Welcome back, beloved. This is Aisha with Simple Life Chronicles. And today I'd like to talk to you about this bounty that's on the ground here in my front yard. So as you can see behind me, I've already started raking a little bit. There's a big pile here, and the biggest pile is over yonder. But there is an awful lot of pine needles going on the ground right now, and I'm excited because I love to use pine needles. Dry brown pine needles are a wonderful resource. They provide great material for composting. They're a wonderful brown material when they're nice and dry and brown like this. I also like to use them in my garden beds. Now, I had done some research on these before and I was afraid to use them. To be honest with you, I was scared of putting them in my garden beds. But I actually grew some colossal squash plants. I'll go ahead and put a picture in so you can get a good look at that. And so those plants produce wonderful, bountiful harvests for us. And we ate summer squash constantly last year. But more recently, we have put in blueberry plants. So I'm going to take you over to that area because that's primarily where I want to use this wonderful material. Just hold on a second. We're going to walk over. So I'm going to turn this way so you can see behind me. There are 6 blueberry plants that we put in as of, I want to say we put them in March or April of this year. The sun's in my eye. And primarily when I started this, it was all pine needles, all pine straw. I particularly like using them here because the main reason why folks are concerned about using pine needles in their garden beds is because they're afraid that the pine needles are going to acidify the bed too much. But here with the pine needles, that's not with the blueberry plants. Here with the blueberry plants, that's not the concern at all. Blueberry plants love acidic soil. So I want the pine needles there. I haven't found them to really acidify things too much because, like I said, I've grown quite a few other plants in pine needle rich compost over in the other garden bed. And actually, I didn't even compost them. I just put them over there. And I was growing tomatoes and squash plants and all kinds of wonderful things in that garden bed last year and this year too. And I didn't change anything. So I just wanted to share that. I'm going to go ahead and get back to raking because I got a lot of work to do and we're going to cover this bed over. I'll put a picture in so that you can see what it looks like when I'm all done. Okay, so I'm sure you've seen somebody rake pine needles before, so we're just going to speed this up. What I'm trying to do is just create enough piles that it's worth my while. I'll be using a tarp to then move them over to the area where I want them. There are other ways of doing this. Of course, you could use a leaf blower or a lawnmower to pick up the pine needles, but it rained for several days before I actually came out to do this, so the leaf blower wasn't really an option because they were still just a little bit wet as I was raking them up. I decided not to use the lawnmower because I wanted to get some extra exercise, and the tarp holds much more material than any of the bags that the lawnmower has. So here we go. We'll spread the tarp out and try to get things on there as efficiently as possible. So my preferred method is to take 2 rakes with me to pick the pine needles up. It's kind of like salad tongs. There's the neighbor driving by on his tractor. And I don't know why I decided to walk so far over to the tarp. There's definitely a better way, and eventually you'll see me make an adjustment. I don't know why I waited till the last pile to do that, but yes, that tarp is too far away. We're just going to go get it. That's better. I'll stand up the rakes here and move over to the last few piles, and then we'll be good to go. I ought to mention here that as I'm putting these last few piles on the tarp, that this bounty of material from the pine trees only happens in the fall like this. So it behooves me to get out and take advantage of what's available during this season. And we're just going to get it rolling here on our way over to the pile. So as I was saying, God is wonderful at providing resources for us all year long, but some things only come at certain times of the year. And so we would be wise to make the best use of every resource as it becomes available to us. Many times, like right now, I will have an overabundance of pine needles, and then I'll go through a season where I really could use them and I don't have them. But if I was careful to collect them and preserve them, then I can use them later. I'm still using the salad tong method here just to try to get some even coverage. And it also helps to maneuver the needles around the cages that are around my blueberry plants. So we'll just do that for a while. Now, these beds have been mulched over the summer and all through the spring with grass clippings, in addition to the pine needle mulch. So if you're using pine needle mulch, don't be afraid to mix it up a little bit and use another kind of mulch, wood chips, grass clippings. It's nice to diversify. All right, so that side's pretty even, and we're just going to swing this around to the other side. I know this is not enough to fill this, so I'm just going to walk it through the bed and just spread it as far as I can. To fill this bed with pine needle straw, it actually took me 3 trips. So you're watching the first of the 3 trips. If I was doing this any other way with a wheelbarrow, and we're just going to pull some weeds right here. If I was using a wheelbarrow or the lawnmower or any other apparatus, I would have to make many more trips than just 3. So if you have large amounts of material, leaves, grass, pine needles to move, I'd recommend using the tarp method. All right, we're going to get back to work if we can. I'll just pick that up and keep it going. And after 3 trips, this is the finished product. Nicely covered. The pine mulch is going to do a great job of blocking out sunlight, choking out weeds and grass, and enriching the soil around my blueberry plants. I'm very happy with the results, and I really enjoy the golden color that they give to the bed. Thanks so much for coming along today as I've been raking up these pine needles. And I hope that you are blessed and highly favored. Until the next video, I want you to go on ahead and keep it simple. And if you use pine needles in your garden, go ahead and post in the comments below. I'd like to learn a little more about how you use them and different ways that you might be able to increase your fertility in your garden, or perhaps use them in your landscape in creative ways. So go ahead and share that. I'd love to see it.